This was my exact reaction to Mark Martin returning to Roush. Yeah! Okay, actually I was more like, and I was like, oh, that's right. Because I knew he was never going to do that. He wasn't going to do a driving thing, because he said, like in that interview a while ago, that he wasn't going to return to the track. So I knew that it wasn't going to be a driving role from the get-go. But I was still happy to see that Mark Martin is back where he belongs, in racing. And if there's just a sliver of hope in a car again someday. But you know, I looked through the comment section of that article, and it brought some interesting points to my attention. The Roush lineup for next year is Bain, Stenhouse, and Biffle, which means that the 99 team is either completely dismantling or it's just going to be sitting around for like a developmental role or something. For like an even rookier rookie than Bain and Stenhouse combined, you know? An even rookier rookie. That's a new word, a rookier rookie. It's an adjective, rookier. I'm done, just stop digging my own grave here. And a couple of other things in that comment section were like, Jack Roush needs Mark Martin right now, and that is very true, because they lost their best driver in Carl Edwards. And saying that, it's like, what about Biffle? Biffle has always been such a consistent driver. He's always gotten multiple top 10s in a season, into the 20s. He's gotten multiple wins per season. He's had a pretty good career so far. Well, what happened to Biffle? Suddenly he's losing race. Well, everyone loses races that you don't win. If you finish second, you still lost. But he's finishing outside the top 10, getting DNFs. They're barely making any noise this year. They've got no chance for the title, even if they won a race. Is that a maggot? Ew. It's horrible, actually. Biffle was one of my favorite drivers going into Mark Martin's retirement back in 2006. So, we'll see where that went, but I really like Biffle. He was cool. But what happened to Biffle? He had so many, he was really consistent from like 2009 and before. Something about the new decade has really gotten Biffle down, and that sucks for Biffle. And then you got the other two drivers. You got Stenhouse, who just plain sucks, and you got Bain, who, well, to be honest, he hasn't really raced enough in the Sprint Cup Series for us to really understand if he's good enough or not. He got the, what's it called, whatever disease he got, and had to sit out a whole bunch of races in his first season after winning the Daytona 500, no less. We really haven't seen if Bain can do anything in the first place. I doubt it. Just my opinion. But, yeah, I mean, if Biffle's the best you got, and he's running his worst season, I'm pretty sure, of all time, that's sad. It's kind of painful to think about, actually. It's... Poor Biffle. Roush needs good drivers right now, and Martin, while he hasn't been running the greatest as of late, he's still running better than Biffle. Like, even when Martin was driving in the 14, and that was just absolutely atrocious, by the way. That was not even close to good driving when he was in the 14 of all cars. That was just terrible. As a Mark Martin fan, that just made me so sad. And I was really hoping that was not how he was going to send his career off. On that note, should have ended it in 2009, if anything. But, not the point of the video. It sucks, though. Like, all of the Roush drivers were my guys for such a long time. And it wasn't even just because of Martin. I really liked Kenseth for a long time. Then he went to Gibbs. I really liked Edwards for a time. Then he started wrecking Keselowski. Over and over. Putting his life in danger twice. That wreck at Atlanta, you know, if that was just at a little bit of a different angle and it got the driver's side, you see how it caved in. It caved in the other side of his vehicle. You think that couldn't happen to the driver's side? It could happen to the driver's side because, well, I assume it's even more reinforced on the driver's side, but it could still happen. I mean, if you can cave in that entire side of the car, you can do it to the driver's side. So that was very close to killing Keselowski right there. And then not so much in that nationwide race where Carl wrecked him intentionally at the last lap to win. And while a devastating crash that was, I don't think it put Keselowski's life in danger as much as the wreck in Atlanta. But not the point of the video. Edwards is still their best driver up to that point. Even McMurray. They lost McMurray. He was still better than Stenhouse and Bain. I'm just going to say Stenhouse because we don't know about Bain yet. He was still better than Stenhouse. McMurray, who got, what? Very inconsistent finishes. He'd win a race and then he'd finish 40th, you know, that kind of consistency. I mean, it just all went downhill after losing Martin. They continually lost everyone that was good. They lost Busch, who, while an asshole, is a pretty good driver, you gotta say. Even in a Stewart Haas, can't talk today. Even in a Stewart Haas car, he's still running pretty meh, but it's the best opportunity he's got his entire career, pretty much. I mean, aside from Roush. Like, back in 2005, there was Martin, Busch, Biffle, Kenseth, and Edwards. 2005, yes, Edwards in 2005. And that's an all-star lineup. Like today, that's an all-star lineup. You got Kenseth, who had a career season last year, even though he didn't win the championship. Kenseth had his best year, yes, last year. He didn't win a championship, but it was still his best year. You got Edwards, who didn't run so good at the start of this decade, but then started showing his colors 2 years ago. And then he kind of waned off last year, but wherever he goes, he's going to stir up some success for their team. But then you had Biffle, who in 2005 got 8 wins, I believe, when he finished second to Stewart, right? Or was that 2006? Doesn't matter. It happened. And, of course, Martin. But now what do you got? You got Stenhouse, who sucks. Just absolutely terrible. Like, you see a lot of his nationwide races, he's struggling not to hit people. He thinks he's playing bumper cars out there, basically. That's how much he's flying all over the racetrack getting into shit. Like, he's an even more untamed Kyle Busch, okay? Then you got Bain, who won the Daytona 500, did really nothing after that. Like, what happened? Didn't he wreck in qualifying in the race after? No, he just wrecked in the race after the Daytona 500, and I'm like, poor guy. Hope this doesn't continue. And then it continued. And then he got a disease. And it's kind of sad that he wins the Daytona 500 and just gets fucked out of everything after that. Kind of lame. But, As for Biffle, like I've said, there's something wrong with the Biff. He is not what he used to be. It's sad. Biff was one of my guys for a long time, and it sucks that he isn't winning or even consistently finishing in the top 10 anymore. What's wrong with the Biff? But, you know, that 99 team is open. Someone could drive for them. And in this terrible, terrible position that Roush is in, it would be best to at least try and put Martin into the seat for a couple of races and see if he can get them some wins. Because while Roush isn't the powerhouse that it used to be, this isn't Hendrick versus Roush anymore. This is Hendrick versus Toyotas now. Is basically what this newfangled generation of racing is. Back in the Martin days at Roush, it was Hendrick versus Roush. Those were the top guys. And now, what's Roush? They're practically a front row motorsports team at this point that has good parts, really. They've got subpar drivers with what used to be the best parts in the business. And you could say that about Front Row Motorsports. At one point, Front Row's parts could have been the best, but now they're just, you know, refurbished crap. Really. And then you got subpar drivers in Reagan and Gilliland, and they've probably added another driver instead of focusing on those two teams and trying to get them better finishes. Probably just added another team and just put Martin in the driver's seat, and Martin will do the rest because he's got the talent. He proved it in 2009. He's still got it. He came close a lot of times in the 55. He came so close in the 55. Pocono when Logano passed him at the end. That one Michigan race where fucking Montoya wrecked him. Fucking Montoya, but is there anything that Montoya won't wreck? I'm sorry. It was a lap down. There was a recent race where someone that was it was Logano. Where Morgan Shepherd, you know, where I was racing Morgan Shepherd, like, and I have a video on that, entirely separate from this one. They really need to put Martin in the driver's seat. They need him to drive, and if he isn't driving next year, I will have to cut someone, because Stenhouse sucks. Biffle's lost it. Their only hope is Bane at this point. And when you have to put all your faith into a driver who won the Daytona 500, but did nothing after that. Like, I can see you putting your faith in Larson. We really haven't seen what he can do yet, and he's still getting top 5 finishes. But, you know, their only hope is Bane. And Martin needs to get into the driver's seat at this point. And he's got and Roush has got a car laying around. They got a team laying around that's going to do nothing next year unless they split the team apart, take the best crew members, and put them into probably Stenhouse's pit. Man. Martin needs to drive at some point for Roush next year, and if they don't, they're just going to continue in their downward spiral. It sucks, but it's going to happen. So, thank goodness Martin's back. I applaud him for... Is that the phone? I applaud him for doing stuff. Bye.